Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Tier 1 Esports for the Platoon highlights brought to you by Space Canada TV. Now, if you're wondering why I'm talking very long and short, it's because I'm setting up our next setup here, because in order to pull this off, we actually had to record this one with Odin ahead of time because they are from New Zealand and Australia. Odin is made up from New Zealand, Australian platoons. These guys and gals have actually met each other. They've actually met each other in person, a lot of them. So it's actually a really cool interview that you're going to hear. I'm Dragon King Soup. I will be actually running the cameras here. The recording is taped. We really had to do this last Saturday because of the time zone difference. It's actually about 8 o'clock p.m., almost into Friday for them, while it's 1:45 in the morning here for me. As we continue, you'll be seeing Odin's teams playing. You'll be hearing from Ulbrich and Beth Pander. They're also playing in the game right now, so if you're wondering why they're doing both, that's because this is taped. The rest will be live streamed. I'll be doing my best to answer questions in the stream while I flip between the cameras live. This is also, the other stream was filmed in front of a live stream, so there will be questions from that stream that you'll be hearing in the stream coming up. So without further ado, I hand it off to the past version of Super Evil Pop-Tarts and executive producer Platoon the Fail Kitty. Please take it away, Super Evil Pop-Tarts and Platoon the Fail Kitty.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you, Dragon, for patching it over to me. My name is Super Evil Pop-Tarts, and I'm from Space Canada TV. And today on Platoon Highlights, we have Odin's Valkyries, and they're going to be on the hot seat tonight. And why don't you introduce yourselves to the TV audience?
Oh yeah, it's Ulbrich here. I'm the General of Odin's Valkyries and founding member.
G'day, I'm Death Panda. I am one of the leaders. I'm pretty much doing the scripts and stuff for
Alright, so why don't we get on our way? Why did you guys start the platoon?
Well, we didn't actually start out as Odin's Valkyries. We started off as cantankerous old gits. That's probably where we first cut our teeth, I suppose, as a platoon. Never started by myself.
That would be a great acronym. It's COD, man.
That's what it was. So, yeah, so we started by myself, Insane Muppet, and Industrial Bacon. And,
wait, Industrial Bacon?
Yeah, Industrial Bacon. The man loves his bacon. And then, so we all rocked up one day with this platoon, and we sort of thought, oh yeah, okay, I had a couple of games. You know, the logo we had of an old man on the side of a tank and stuff. Thought, oh yeah. And then we all started getting a bit creative and started all privately started creating our own logos and things. And it was quite funny because one afternoon we all just rocked up together with different tags on, and I had Odin's Valkyries, the Velnut logo, and I think Bacon turned up as a hot pig or something like that. And I'm not quite sure what Insane Muppet turned up as, but yeah, we all looked at each other and sort of looked at each other's tanks and stuff, and everyone was like, oh yeah, alright, so we'll go with Odin's Valkyries, and it's a bit more serious. So yeah, that's kind of how Odin's Valkyries sort of started out.
That sounds like fun. Sounds like you guys were in it for the fun first, which is good, because that's what, yes, we're in it for the competitiveness of it, but you gotta have fun with it first before you want to take that extra step.
Oh, totally.
So tell us all about Odin, so everyone knows what you're all about.
Well, I suppose Odin's Valkyries it was originally created to be a bit different. I mean, like I just explained, the different logos and stuff we trialed. And I chose the way to go with our logo and the lore behind us and stuff of being biking and Norse mythology and stuff. It was a bit different to what was already out there in the things, especially in the Oceanic region. There was heaps of military regimental numbers, and there's a few individual kind of logos going on. but this one just stood out. That's kind of what drew people to us, I suppose. We had, I mean, us 3 founding members were, you know, we were constantly sort of looking for people with similar play styles and stuff, and we just, yeah, we just slowly gathered a bit of a following. A few people started playing with us, and then the requests came in, so we sort of had to decide at the 10-person mark whether we were going to go serious and go competitive and keep us as a professional platoon rather than sort of just a casual one. So we locked the door basically, and it was sort of invite only from then on.
Now, a big thing that a lot of platoons are, you know, always mention is the sense of community within the platoons, and also the community as a whole. Everyone's there to have fun. Not only have fun, some people, you know, platoons help each other out, give constructive criticism. Is that what that sense of community within your platoon, is that what keeps your core group together, kept the core group for when you founded it up to now?
Oh yeah, totally. Well, I mean, us 3, we live in Christchurch, New Zealand together. So we caught up for beers and, you know, things quite regularly, and some of the other platoon members were from New Zealand and Australia and things, and they were like, oh man, you guys caught up on the weekend, like, you know, so a couple of the North Island boys were like, oh man, we've got to come down, come see you guys. So we sort of thought this is kind of a really cool opportunity, so we decided to create a Odin weekend. And
so you guys met up in real life?
Yeah, totally. Yeah.
Oh, that's fucking awesome. Oh, I dropped it. I dropped it this time. Oh.
Yeah.
Oh.
So we had 10 to, I think it was 10 to 12. I can't remember. Might have been 12 members arrive in Christchurch. A couple from Australia turned up, and we had a awesome weekend of paintball, and we went out in the town at night. So that evening didn't finish until about, I think it was nearly 5:45 in the morning. So yeah, and the jealousy spread with the Aussie guys. So they were like, oh god, we've got to organise this again, because, you know, the timing wasn't right and things for some people. So we sort of announced, oh god, not long after that catch up, that would be all the Kiwi guys would be going to Australia in May of this year, and it's looking like Sydney's our spot to invade. So yeah, we're sort of probably going to have anywhere from 30 to 40 members probably going to attend. So it's going to be pretty epic.
All right, that sounds really cool. I mean, within my gaming group, the only person I met was Dragon, because he lives like 45 minutes from me. Like, I live in New Jersey, he lives in Pennsylvania. All I have to do is just cross the river. But that's awesome that you guys actually got a bunch of you together to shoot at each other in real life, no less. That's
pretty much.
That's just a great way to go about it. So besides Battlefield 5, are there any other games that you play? And I did drop a half of an F-bomb. I didn't go the whole way, but we're only allowed now only one more F-bomb, and you know which one that is. So go ahead, yeah. You can say it if they do it. If they do it.
Yeah, I suppose we're all from different walks of life. A lot of us have come from other games, so we're not all just Battlefield players. We do have our... Oh, I'm a bit nervous about saying it. We do have a few that do play Fortnite, but chop and change between that. And then we've got our Call of Duty Modern Warfare players, we've got our Siege players. So, and a lot of them...
I've heard about Siege. I heard that was interesting.
Yeah, I haven't actually played it. Panda's probably more knowledgeable about Siege, but...
Yeah, it's got an aim assist, which is a lot different. You're not getting snapped onto like what you do on Battlefield 1 and a little bit on 5. It's not as bad on 5. But yeah, no aim assist is very different on Siege.
Okay. I also heard the whole game setup for Siege is different. Like it's almost strategic, unless I'm thinking of a different game.
You can almost hit the building in a different way every time, depending on your strategy and what characters you have.
Yeah, that's what a lot of the PC Master Race members of Space Canada play a lot of Siege on the PC. All right, so when it comes to keeping your players on the same page when it comes to practice, scrims, matches, and just basic goofiness, what is it that you use to keep everyone on the same page? How do you go about it? Different platoons use different methods, but what works for you?
Well, from the outset, this is a big thing in Battlefield 1, which we're trying to carry over into Battlefield 5, but there's lots of people playing Battlefield 5, so it's not so needy to, bunch people together as much, because there's always someone to play with, but we always had a Odin night on Wednesday night, so people would log in. We'd probably get anywhere from 10 to 25 players in one server, and we'd just overtake a server, like we'd just take another private server that's being hosted, or we'd just go into the regular pub matches, and yeah, that was kind of our get-together thing. But to communicate with everyone, we've been using the PlayStation app, and we're trying to move away from that because it's such a pain in the ass with, how it blinks at you every time someone messages you, and with having 100 members in that one chat.
Or even worse, sometimes the app will just log itself out, and if you don't know your password, you can't remember it. You have to re-sign in.
Yeah, so we're slowly getting people to move over to Discord. It's all our scrim stuff's basically on Discord, but it's just trying to move the general banter onto Discord, so it's not annoying anyone while they're playing anything. So. But yeah, those are our two main forms of communication between guys and gals.
That seems to be the way that a lot of the platoons so far. That's pretty much what they're going with is Discord, and some of them even use that to when they're actually doing competitive matches. That's some of the platoons that I've heard actually use it to organize their squads using Discord.
Mm. Yeah, it's got that little chat feature on there, which can come quite handy when you've sort of got a full 8-man squad in a party chat on PlayStation, and you need to talk to another 8-man squad. You can sort of use Discord with a like a mic. Or, so it's quite a handy tool, really.
Would you agree, Pander, being on the more organizational side of everything?
Yeah, Discord's probably my preferred app to use. I would rather use Discord than the PlayStation message app. The Discord notifications always pop up on your phone, where sometimes on the PlayStation app it won't actually pop up, and then you won't see. Sometimes it's important information that you're missing. Mm-hmm. So yeah, Discord's pretty good to make sure that you're getting all the information. Also, you can link other chats together, so you can place in the time for a scrim, and everyone that is being a part of that scrim can see it, or tournament.
Would you say that Discord, and out of all the media type things you could use, or the internet tools, do you think that Discord probably is the top method of most platoons organizing their platoons or their matches in the leagues?
Oh yeah. Also, it's free, so everyone can get their hands on it. So
free. We all like free, and we all like our phones. So free and phones, it goes together, guys. Or tablets if you got your tablet, But free and phone, it almost rhymes. Almost. So, in the coming months, especially when we get, when EA finally gets off their duffs and gives us those private servers, Is there anyone in Odin that we should keep our eyes on that's going to be like household names for, at least for the people who like watching competitive Battlefield matches? Anyone that we should write down and remember for when those matches start?
Panda's our lead scout, so he's probably the one to ask on who's going to be our top players.
What's your
yeah, we've got a few new members and stuff that we're keen to see how they're going to go in the scrims. Also, there's a lot of older players that are looking even better in Battlefield 5 than what they did in Battlefield 1. So it'll be good to just skim through and see who are the solid players in Battlefield 5.
Anyone?
Just to add to that, I just the difference between the two games, like we've had players that are, been pretty good, but we've had our standout players in Battlefield 1, and it's quite interesting seeing the change to Battlefield 5, where those sort of really good players that they're actually excelling in Battlefield 5, and some of the better players in Battlefield 1 are sort of moving back a step. So it's interesting just how the game changes someone's playstyle and skill set, really. So,
yeah, I
so it's
think
quite hard to tell at the moment who's going to be the biggest showman or showwoman.
Hey, it's games.
I think there's a pretty big skill gap in Battlefield 5 compared to the last Battlefields.
I think we're going to hit on that a little bit later when it comes to going from 1 to 5 right now. But is there any like name dropping you can give us, Pander, that we should really look out for?
Oh, well, we've got a few good pilots, Bad Boy Bobby, Ares, Killer Panda, dude. A few of our foot soldiers would be Juggernaut and Bren. I've seen Blake destroy people as well. There's a lot of names that I could give you. I just have to pull them off the top of my head.
Okay. Well, enough about let's move on from the other boys and girls in the group. How about the two big guys, you Ulf and you Pander? When it comes to playing Battlefield 5, how do you go about it? Like, is there any particular classes that you gravitate toward, and what would your loadouts generally be?
Coming from a military background, I tend to play really strategic. I tend to kind of lead from the front when I play. So I lead. I mean, Odin's Valkyries is quite an aggressive platoon. We don't sort of. I suppose Battlefield 1 was very aggressive, just defensive, but this one here we're kind of mixing it up a bit. So we're either aggressive defensive or we're aggressive attacking. So yeah, I suppose the way I play is like that. I'll either play assault or medic, and generally just sort of lead the calls on flanking, defending, attacking. Yeah, so that's just trying to organise to get behind enemy lines. Just really trying to pincer the enemy, just create confusion. I mean, I love seeing a good 20 guys on the enemy team. Get a bit like, what the hell is going on from behind? We got shot. So, I love just causing chaos. Chaos is my main objective. So, if that chaos, allows the front line to push through, that's kind of what I'm there for. So,
yep, sowing the seeds. How about you, Pander? Where do you? What's your poison when you get in?
I'm pretty much the same. I like assault and medic. I love the Tommy gun. I love to flank around and get behind your ass and give you a good old little slap and say g'day. Keep going. A little bit of back raging, yeah.
So you like to give him in the popo.
Yeah, straight up the mud trail.
Ah, that just reminds.
It suits the old Odin's Valkyries thing. I don't know if you know anything about Norse mythology, but Valkyries select the dead for the fallen soldiers for Valhalla. So it's pretty much what we do from the battlefield. Through
the butthole.
Just collecting names.
Collecting those souls.
Ah, okay. Well, that reminds me. Since we're doing this here, That reminds me of one of our advertisers on Space Canada TV, Jimmy Slayer's Bullet Butt Hemorrhoid Cream for when your teammate bites you in the ass. Great, reach for that soothing Jimmy Slayer's Bullet Butt Hemorrhoid Cream, and for a limited time with purchase, a free Hinder Cozy. So, all right. So Battlefield's been out for about 2 months now. I don't know if you guys got early access.
Yep.
From since when it came out, I mean, there's been some patches. What is your impression so far of Battlefield 5?
Well, I like it. It's been a bit of a journey to liking it. I didn't quite enjoy the beta as much as I thought I would. Trying to polish this a bit. And then they changed the whole time to kill and whatnot. And
Yeah.
all my muscle memory was lost when they did that, so I was in a bit of a bind on the class and the gun that I was using. I didn't like what I was currently using anymore. And nothing made sense, so...
I heard the medics really got rubbed raw on that.
Yeah, and that's about the time I was playing medic, so I had no idea what to switch to. And I went back to assault, pretty much, from loving medic. So it was... I'm so glad that they listened to the community and changed it all back, so... it's made it much more viable. It still needs some work on medic, but... yeah, I'm really enjoying it. It's just trying to get some time in to commit to it, really.
Alright, how about you, Pander?
Oh yeah, Battlefield 5 was, it's very different from Battlefield 1. There was a big change coming from Battlefield 1 to 5. It took me a little bit to get my head around it, get my settings right, and get a little bit of map knowledge, I guess. I think I've put 200 hours on the game already. Yeah, I'm loving it at the moment. I didn't like it when they changed the TTK update. It pretty much ruined the medic class for me, which was my favorite class.
I believe Dragon King Soup's the way he described the medic class with that was the medic became useless.
Oh yeah. You couldn't use it. It was pretty much you had a few weapons that you could use, and that was any assault rifle that wasn't a semi-auto and the KE7. That was about it. Every other gun, it was almost like you were shooting into a sponge. It took way too many bullets. And yeah.
Killer Panda says death wins through lag. That is what your poison is. Let's see. We got here. I'm going to intersperse some questions here with the chat. Is Battlefield 5, and both your estimation, your opinions, is Battlefield 5 more tactical versus skill-based like Battlefield 1?
I'd have to say it's way more tactical. You have to be tactical to survive in that thing. You can't lone wolf like you could in Battlefield 1. You know, if I wasn't playing with someone on Battlefield 1, I could easily, and if my squad wasn't doing anything other than sniping or something, I could definitely lone wolf and survive. Trying to lone wolf in Battlefield 5 is pretty much a guaranteed death certificate. And I think with our core skill set and philosophy and everything, it suits our playstyle massively. Every person that jumps in a squad expects to be led to go somewhere with the game, and by doing that, having everyone on the same page, and actually having goals to achieve, you know, objectives set out and routes to take, people see success, and I think that's what people enjoy most when they're playing Battlefield 5 at the moment.
How about you, Pender?
Yeah, no, you can't really run out in the open in Battlefield 5. You die way too fast to even think some of the times. So most of the time you got to try to either hit them from the side or hit them from behind. Where in Battlefield 1 you could just go straight up the middle and usually kill half their team.
You see, Death Panda can go straight up the middle. His lag's so bad that he just bounces around the place. And he's laid all his dynamite on a tank, and he's already up the road by the time he's setting it off. So no one even knew he was there.
I actually had one of my mates trying to get my tags the other night, and I lagged through them and shot them in the back before they took my tags. So
Oh God. Okay. Let's go a little bit back. You know, the whole the brief impression you have of Battlefield 5. From changes going from and that's not like from the question from the chat. Changes going from Battlefield 1 to Battlefield 5. Of those changes, which ones do you like, and which ones do you think are going to pose a challenge, especially when in competitive play, especially when league matches are up and running and they count?
Yeah, I think there's a few additions, like you got those spawn beacons. I'm pretty sure they'll be made illegal. I was sort of thinking about that the other day. I was like, they're probably not going to be a viable option to use, so that kind of, it's a bit of a downer for the old scout class, because they've really kind of made the scout class quite versatile in this game compared to the last one. So yeah, I think there's opportunity for, like we just talked about, tactics, much better tactics. The terrain, you can build stuff. So instead of running back to a shelled out town and nothing to hide behind and making for a bit of a slaughterhouse, you've actually got some options now. And the flanking routes are beautiful in this the new game, so you've got heaps of opportunities. So I think the competitive side of it's going to be really interesting. You're really going to have to practice a lot and get things, you know, how you're going to hit objectives really sorted, I think, before you can jump into this.
How about you, Pander? What do you see?
Yeah, it's more of a game where you can either sit back and almost what's the word for it?
Waffles. I'm sorry.
Yeah, you can almost sit back and sit where people aren't looking and take people out. And you can be a real nuisance to the enemy team in Battlefield 5, just staying in locations where enemies don't know where you're hiding. Where, yeah, in Battlefield 1, you could just, balls deep all the time. You gotta kind of think what you're doing in Battlefield 5.
Alright, Dragon is, he's still got that, he's still going on about that FG42. You know, he dropped that Bren gun like it was a sack of potatoes. He's like that meme of the guy looking at the other girl and his other girl's there. I just don't get it. So, when it came to you guys getting on the competitive scene, where is it that you cut your teeth? Where you spilt your first blood and your own blood in that scene, and where you basically said, well, this is the life for us? Where was that moment where you just like, we're not turning back, we're going full steam ahead?
I'd probably have to say it was probably the Tier 1 international games. We were part of the Oceanic team, so we had anywhere between 4 and 5 of us were playing in those, and people were loving it. They were like, oh man, we're going to do more of this. I mean, we'd had scrims and stuff with other squads and stuff throughout the time, but the actual getting into the competitive leagues and stuff, that sort of spurred from there, and everyone was sort of pointing to me to, like, let's get this up and running, let's try and do more of this. So think Salmon Butt had organised a Oceanic Frontlines tournament, which was kind of sponsored by Tier 1, and all the games were commentated on and posted on, I think it was the Tier 1 Oceanic Facebook page, I think. So we had heaps of people watching those, and the guys that were involved in it absolutely loved it, had heaps of interest in it. People were getting really, they were talking heaps about strategy, how we were going to take on this next squad platoon, so we really got stuck in then, and it was just kind of a bit unfortunate that, you know, Battlefield 1 was kind of losing its oomph and its player base, and I think by the end of its life cycle there was a domination league set up, and we just didn't get the numbers, so we did have to pull out of that one. But yeah, they're all keen for Battlefield 5. That's kind of what everyone was really waiting for. So yeah.
All right. Okay, so when it comes to a platoon, and you hit on a little bit earlier, if someone were thinking about starting their own platoon, or they just basically would like to join a platoon, especially if, you know, they're in their area and they like you said, you know, everyone liked your symbols and stuff when you were doing that. If someone were to either want to join or start their own platoon, what advice would you give them to go about doing that?
Starting a platoon, I think you really have to be unique right from the outset. You have to set what you want out of your platoon. If it's going to be a social one, make it social. If it's going to be purely competitive, make it competitive. But if you're going to be competitive and strategic, say, make sure that's set out right from the start, so everyone that joins knows that. Scout for players, I wouldn't advise sort of just letting everybody join willy-nilly, because of reputations are on, you know, on the cards there. So if you've got a whole bunch of people acting like dicks, and you can't really control that as much if you don't know the people that are there. Mm-hmm. So I would sort of advise to become a bit of a close-knit team with the people that you have. Start small, get to know each other, socialise like we do if you can.
Alright, yeah.
And then I think you just learn each other's strengths and weaknesses, and sort of work from there. And then basically I would have to say that you'd only expand when you need to, and expand only with what you need. So if you're wanting more support players, that's what you're looking for. So you'd be out there looking for, you know, a guy that knows how to hunker down, hold an avenue, and, you know, or whatever style you're looking for. So, but I still believe it's better to know everyone in that platoon, rather than not only know a handful when everyone else is running with the tags. So, and I pretty much confidently know the whole 100 that I have in my platoon. So, yeah.
How about you, Pander? Especially when since you do the scouting, mostly for that question about people looking to join a platoon. Is there any advice you would give them?
Yeah, when I'm scouting for players, I'm usually looking for a player that's usually a decent player, and when I'm talking with them, I'll usually play games and that with them for around about a week, just to see how they act around other members and stuff. Having players that are usually friendly with each other and not arguing amongst each other is a good thing, and us having a good leader to give us a kick in the ass when we mug up is always a good thing as well.
Alright, so of the teams that you've played so far, especially since you got into the, you know, competitive aspect of it, of Battlefield, is there any team that you would call your rival? like a team that, you know, not like an antagonistical rival, but that friendly rival, like kind of like Goku and Vegeta from Dragon Ball Z and Super and all the other, you know, series all in the words. But that rivalry where it's a quiet man fight through town. Any team platoon that stands out that you would basically call your rival?
I wouldn't say we have a rival, but we definitely, especially in the frontlines tournaments, I'd say Rise was our biggest kind of rival in skill, I think. We had some fantastic games that went the full length. Literally the strategy was so similar, but we were doing it on the opposite sides of the map when we watched the replay, so we were trying to flank each other and into pincer movements, and then suddenly on the next flag it was, yeah, just the same defense setup or attacking setup. It was, yeah, so it was real challenging to try and push those guys off somewhere, or, and it was the same for them. So I'd have to say, yeah, and every time we sort of met those guys in pub matches, it was always, you know, pretty toe for toe, really. Eye for eye.
Looks like Killer Panda. I think this might be a platoon tag, but RBR.
Yeah, so they're pretty much they're Red Baron Reapers, another reaping squad, similar to the Valkyries. So yeah, we got to know those guys really well. We used to jump in their team deathmatch server and just, you know, for a few warm-up rounds and stuff, and suddenly got to know the leader of them at the time. So that was later Sean, and we just sort of became good mates from there. And you know, we now consider those guys to be like a sister platoon to us.
Mm-hmm. That's cool.
Yeah, we constantly, you know, if we're jumping on, they're jumping on. They jump in the servers we're in, so it's almost like we've got, yeah, it's a second platoon on the go. So yeah,
nice.
Likewise for them. So
now, when it comes down to, you know, it's a question we always ask all the platoons, and it's a, you know, always a question for people who want to play the game, but they don't think they'll fit in or they'll be any good. But there's always roles besides the classes in all the Battlefield games, and probably PvP games in general, at least certain ones of them. It's the whole skill players versus positional players. How would each of you describe a skill player and a positional player, and what would the positives of each type of a player, what positives do they bring in your opinion?
Well, I'd have to say the difference between the two's, well, they've both got skill and they're both positional, aren't they? So I suppose if you're looking at an attacking player, they're probably skillful at taking the lead assault, can hold their own, whereas a positional player, I'd have to say, can position themselves in a way where they can, I don't know, block a lane, they can be a spawn point, they can be a medic, or support, and but at the same time they can hold their own. So hence why I sort of think they sort of cross over with each other. But when it comes to composition in the squad, I'd have to say you need the right characters with the right players. So I usually, if we are squadding up a bit, I tend to mix, you know, different skilled players with these positional players and which play styles work together. It's great having a squad that's all killers, but if they've got no one to back them up, they're kind of left out in the open, really. So yeah, it's all about marrying up the right players and personalities.
And how about you, Pander, especially since you do a lot of the scouting?
Well, I think you can still be a skilled positional player, but yeah, there's like having a aggressive player and a positional player. A aggressive player will generally be able to destroy squads or groups of people by themselves most of the time, and having a decent positional player to back them up is always a strong thing to have. I don't think you can really define skilled versus positional. I think it should be aggressive versus positional.
You would describe it that way.
Both
Yeah.
can be skilled at the game, because if you have the map knowledge to be positional, I would label you as a skilled player.
Yeah, I mean that's
and
how it's always been described for a long time. You know, the different type of, I guess, player mindset. Aggressive player. That sounds, because everyone have skills. I mean, but aggressive. That's we'll have to think about maybe rewriting that question there, because you do bring up a very good point. You know.
Yeah, well, I'd probably tend to agree. I suppose if you were to say skilled player, I would put someone who knows map knowledge, who can see a situation and call it on the fly. You know, if that flag's not working, we need to reassess, redeploy somewhere else, you know. So, yeah, but I have to agree with Panda on that. It's, yeah.
And Killer Panda said...
every player can be skilled in their certain parts of how they play, whether you're support, assault, medic, or scout. If you're skilled at what you use, then yeah, it's good to have.
Killer Panda says that's where air support comes in. The way Dragon is saying is position players play single role well. Skill can play any class well. That's exactly.
Yeah,
that's
well,
how Dragon is defining it in his definition. Okay.
Yeah, having a player that's skilled at all the traits is good. They can switch between classes at what you need in each game.
All right. Now, with the definitions, your definitions, we'll go with your definitions. I sent you guys a video of me playing Battlefield 1, not Battlefield 5, viewers. And now the joke is, I'm not really that good. I don't outright suck, but yeah, I'm not rocking. I'm rocking under a 1 KD, guys. So that's how bad it is. But based on how you described, how would you go about basically? What advice would you give a player like me to get our game and hit it into a second gear and up our game in Battlefield 5?
Yeah, I watched the footage. You played support in that.
Yep.
I mean,
it's the only class I could play in Battlefield 1.
I mean, from my watching how you were firing down lines and stuff, I would probably advise to pick an avenue where you can block, learn how your gun works, rather than sort of there's a lot of hip firing going on. So I think you could have, there was on several occasions on, it was Argonne Forest on it. So
yeah, Argonne
I
Forest.
think you were on the D flag, I think, where there's that big trench line down the middle. There's plenty of times that you could have just literally sat in the bunker at one opportunity, or fired right down that thing with it bipoded. And,
now that you mention that, I didn't even think that.
Yeah, so I mean, it's all positional stuff. Like, I think the way you were walking around, you were kind of not really sprinting through areas. Cover wasn't probably utilised as much, and I think once you get your head around hiding a little bit when you're moving between areas and stuff, you actually notice that less bullets hit you.
Yeah.
And I've had to, and this has been a big thing I've had to learn, especially with Battlefield 5, is that I can't just run out into a space like we were talking about earlier. So I've actually had to utilise cover more, and it's and the more I use cover, the more I survive. So I think it's learn the environment, learn your weapon, and play with a squad that's giving you advice and you know, is definitely telling you where to be to start off with, and then suddenly you start going, oh, I know this map, I did really well here, our squad's moving that way, I'll sit up here while those guys move up forward, and then when they give you the okay, you kind of move to another spot to sort of block an avenue, you know? So it's about learning the class, really, learning your role within that class.
Yeah, well, it was a pickup game, and it was my first time playing front lines too, so I don't know if that had anything to do with my playstyle. Pander, so what's your assessment of my poor play?
Yeah, I did notice that you didn't sprint around too much. Yeah, as I've said, hitting that sprint button gets you from location to location a little bit quicker. One tip I could give you is you'll be using a big ammo crate and a little ammo pouch. Picking between the two is up to you, but I suggest to use one of them and just utilize your utility a little bit more, because having a limpet charge instead of a little ammo pouch can grab you a few more kills. And yeah, blow up some buildings and stuff to help your team.
Usually I do that when we're in buildings, but we're in the Argonne Forest, and there was none of my favorite target, which I do have a over 1 KD, and that's tanks. So usually Dragon, once I see a tank and I've lost it, and I become basically like we were talking about earlier, I basically become an orc tank buster, and I'm gone. And I'm good at killing them, but yeah, especially that trench off, and you both said that I'm not running. I mean, is there? I guess maybe I'm a little bit apprehensive of running because I think I'm going to get shot right off the bat if I'm not paying attention to my environment. Is really running more of a better technique to use?
It's harder to shoot you when you're sprinting. It's harder to lead your shots when you're sprinting around, and if you use bullets as well, dodge bullets and stuff.
I don't know if you've seen Game of Thrones, but that one scene where the
just gotta have happy feet.
Yeah, jumping around and sprinting gets you away from them snipers.
don't be predictable. That's pretty much. Yeah.
All right, now.
Don't go left, right.
Now, I mentioned my proclivities of running after tanks, like it's the ice cream man coming down the block. But one thing that I've noticed, and me and Dragon did commentating for another league, is that tanks, generally most people who don't know competitive scene think, oh, people just get in tanks because they'll live longer and they have big guns that can blow people up. But what I noticed through all my matches that I've seen is they're an integral part to the strategy of the team as a whole, because they really tie everything together. And I could count on one hand, just one hand alone in the league, of the really ace tank drive guys that got in there and shooting, just running without no tactics at all. But when it comes to tanks in Battlefield 5, and I believe they're a little bit different than they are in Battlefield 1.
Okay, the tank squad, you could, really zero everyone in it and retake that. And the fear factor that they bring. Yeah, they're easy to take down if you know how to take them down, but a lot of people see a tank and they're like, oh shit, I can't go down there. So the sort of fear factor that they bring into just sitting there, dominating. I think, every time I see a Tiger tank on Battlefield 5, it's a piece of German machinery that's it's quite intimidating. And I know from playing with the Tiger, it's a bit lackluster compared to what it was in real life. But just
in real life, it was one of the better tanks.
Yeah. Well, I mean, what was it? I remember playing the single player thing. I was quite intrigued by that Tiger mission, and there's something popped up and said that a Tiger crew usually ran out of ammo before before it was taken down, you know, so they could pop American tanks and things, you know, with one shot, whereas by American tanks, so that was the sheer volume of American tanks, you know, they ran out of ammo, so
Yeah.
yeah.
That's I think that's the big change, at least for when it came to tanks from Battlefield 1 to Battlefield 5, where Battlefield 1 you didn't have to worry about running out of ammo if you were in a tank.
Just rain down shells onto flags and help your infantry push up to a flag, and also a tank driver that knows when it's time to push a flag themselves with the tank and capture it. Another thing that's different than pushing a flag is sacrificing your tank, knowing when to sacrifice your tank for your team. I've seen people push the flag, sit right in the middle. Brandon's a good example of this. He'll push a flag, pretty much say, hey, look at me, and he's your team, shoot them all in the back while they're all looking at him, and he loses his tank, but you get the flag. So, knowing what's more important, your life or the flag, is
And that's the thing, you don't want a tank driver that bails either.
Oh yeah, losing your tank.
Too many times I've seen, especially in matches where someone bails the tank, and then you get some dude that's, you know, on the enemy team's got a wrench and jumps in. You know, and then suddenly they've got one extra tank on their team than you have, so, yeah.
Yeah,
Go down.
supposed to go down with the ship.
Exactly.
Killer Panda, I have not gotten Battlefield 5 yet, so I know that the support class does fortifications, but I have to admit, I am looking forward to try that, because that looks interesting, to me at least. And Killer Panda also pointed out that tanks are valuable for pushing objectives, that they can shift the tide, getting a flag, and tanks do better when foot soldiers walk alongside them.
Oh yeah. Having someone to sit behind you and repair you definitely helps. That's another role as support that we were only just talking about.
Yeah, fixing the tank.
How to utilize your class. Yeah, fixing your tank that's something you need.
Well, that's one of the reasons that, you know, after a while that there was a match. I think it was Don Squad versus Rag, and Don Squad's tank driver is an ace, and they were on Sinai Desert, and they were pushing the flag, and his tank crew got wiped out, and he was a dead man. And once his tank went, Rag just pushed back, and it was pretty much all over. The tide had turned, and just for, you know, not even a bad mistake, but just some bad luck. And good skill play, I guess, on Rag's team for taking out his crew first before trying to take out his tank. Let's go with the metal behemoths of World War II, but we're gonna go to the sky. I've heard that planes in Battlefield 5 are pretty OP. Now, I know I tried flying planes in Battlefield 1. Forget it, I'm crashing. I'm already a brick coming down from the sky. Is it true that some of those planes and the planes in Battlefield 5 are disgusting? And what's it really take to be a pilot? Because I was either bored when I tried to fly, or I'm like, oh crap, I'm going to hit the ground.
I wouldn't say they're overpowered, the planes. You have to be good at the planes. You gotta get up there and learn your planes, because I've jumped up into the plane myself and been absolutely demolished. And then I see players that jump up there and they just rule the skies every round. Yeah, and they're very hard to take out of the plane. Yeah, you've got to be a skilled pilot to actually get a lot of kills. I've seen players get... actually, I've only seen one player, Bad Boy Bubble, who's got over 200 kills in the JU-88.
Is that a bomber, or is that like a fighter?
that's the bomber. It used to be a lot more overpowered than what it is at the moment. It used to carpet bomb 32 50-kilo bombs that used to completely cover the whole flag. It was almost as bad as the bomber in Battlefield 1 that would wipe out a whole flag.
Yeah.
But they toned it down a little bit.
Being set on
Almost
fire
a little bit
was
too much.
being set on fire from the sky was not fun.
Yeah, I've actually heard that they're thinking of reducing the timers on the bombs, so they're pretty much buffing all the bombs for the next update.
How about you, Ulf? Or you just stay away from planes?
Yeah, I'm not really a pilot or a tanker. I think they're quite. Yeah, I think they're very. They've got their uses in Battlefield. Definitely, if you need some, you know, you got a good pilot in your squad that can carpet bomb something before you hit it, soften them up, or you know, at least draw everyone's health to half. You can definitely win that. I'm just so glad that I'm not dying by minimets in this one. I think I've only been hit by bombers a handful of times, whereas I see some of these pilots getting like over 100 kills in a match. Something like that. I'm not one of those statistics. But, yeah, whereas Battlefield 1, I did an awesome maneuver. I'd be taking that flag, it'd just be capping, and then suddenly Miramax flies over and takes us all out. And that was probably a good 5-minute battle to get to that flag and get it, and you're just taken away. So, yeah. But they've got their definite uses.
I mean, the league I did, that was no one used planes. They weren't one of the things that they used in the competitive league that we were doing for either Frontlines or Conquest. Planes were not a thing that was allowed. But I don't know if with Battlefield 5, when the servers come up and the league starts, whether that'll be a thing that won't be allowed in matches. But of all the matches, that you've played in your experience, is there any one game for you that stood out where you just after it's done, you're kicking back a few and you're thinking about the game? Was there any game where you look back at it and said, "Wow, my guys cleaned house. They came to play"? Is there any match that stands out that you can remember that it's just tasty and just shiny all over?
No, I think just the successes we had through that Frontlines tournament. I was just so proud of the boys that played, and they gave it their all. Just all of our plans, strategies, they worked. We all knew what we were doing. So I think every time we won a match on that, it was more big celebration because it's all that time and effort comes to fruition. So yeah, we were super stoked with our progress in that tournament.
All right. So, we got some questions here that executive producer Takun the Show Kitty rustled up and said, "I need to ask you these, or she'll steal my breath while I try to sleep at night." What's so far with all the guns that you've unlocked to this point, and I don't know if you've unlocked more, and I believe the way DICE is doing it is the more the content they drop, they're going to get us more guns that are doing everything chronologically how World War II happened in real life. Is there any gun that is your favorite so far that you got on you, that's your go-to gun, your bread and butter?
I'd have to say for my assault class, it's pretty much the Sturmgewehr, the Gewehr 43, and the other Sturmgewehr, the 1.5, probably been the big standout ones for the assault class for me. Yeah, I know a lot of people using the Reveille rolls and the STG and stuff, but I don't know, I was a bit burnt by the STG and the beta that I've kind of steered away from it. But yeah, I suppose for the medic class, I definitely use the MP40 a lot. just for the accuracy, and it's whatever. It's probably its best mid-range gun. I don't tend to hit fire, so I don't really use the Suomi or the Thompson much. But yeah, probably the MP40 is probably my favourite from the medic class. Yeah.
How about you, Pander?
I like pretty much all the semi-auto rifles for the assault. I would definitely say to try the Turner and the Sleb Slater if you haven't already, because they are two weapons that are just absolutely insane. I'm a very big hipfire, so the Turner being a semi-auto, it actually has a very small hipfire radius. So that's pretty good. Having a 3x scope, I can still push flags with it, and other than that, I'll use the not the Turner, the Thompson for medic.
Alright. And before Dragon even puts it in the chat, FG42, that's all I need to say. When it comes to competitive play, actually, let me back that up. Are there any guns that you've unlocked that you thought was going to be absolute hot garbage, but actually ended up being really good and really shiny? Maybe not like, super duper death machines, but definitely they proved to be more than what they seemed. Is there any guns that stood out for you in that type of sense?
I'd have to say the Sten. I fired that thing in real life when I was over in the UK. That thing was notoriously bad at jamming. It was ugly. It looks like a corking tube created in someone's back garage. And when I loaded up Battlefield 5, it's the starting weapon, and I thought, holy hell, this is like a laser beam. What the hell happened here? So, yeah, I suppose the Sten was probably... I mean,
historical revisionism. There you go.
Yeah. So, someone fixed the Sten. It surely doesn't jam on this game. But, yeah, I think... Yeah, I don't use it a lot, but I could easily use it because it's very similar to the MP40. I think the reason I don't use it is the aesthetics of it. It still reminds me of that corking gun that's silicon down on something, but...
You're laying
yeah,
tiles.
So, yeah, laying tiles with a Sten.
Pander?
Well, I tried out the Suomi once, and I never liked it. I never unlocked the specializations for it, so I kind of left it as it was, and that stayed there all the way up to until the TTK update was changed back. And then I used it again, and it's a machine. You can't beat it. It's almost an equal to the Tommy gun when you chuck the 50 round mag on, which is, yeah, it's a good gun.
Yep. All right. How about we're talking hype? This one's a hypothetical. And some leagues, they eventually start putting a rule set out, like stuff that you can't do. You have to make sure this is set at this particular, like cat, like time to kills, other things that, a rule set that I used to always, before my streams, I'd always go over the rule set, especially for new people that are watching, so they understood the game a little bit more. But banned weapons, when it comes to competitive, when it rolls around, get on it, EA guys. Which guns do you think they would ban for either being overpowered or some other reasons?
I reckon they're probably going to be all the things like the Thompson and... well, you've got the Suomi, don't you? So I suppose those... I don't know, maybe they might be... Just because of their mag capacity, I'm not too sure, but... I don't know, I love it.
Is the only thing that can come up against the assault rifles.
Yeah, so it's kind of hard to say at this stage. I mean, they've all got their pros and cons, and it's not like the Hellreagle or that MG08 that was in Battlefield 1, which were ridiculously kind of overpowered weapons that were monstrosities, not even historic weapons. So I was like, yeah, it'd be interesting to see what they do, Dan. I can't really pinpoint any one at the moment.
Well, let's see the...
Maybe Dragon's machine gun might get banned. That is ridiculous.
His FG42. Goodbye, FG42. No! And guess what, Dragon? The bread's not taking you back. Goodbye. How about you, Pander? Or is it pretty much the same ones?
Oh, I think the weapons that we all know is going to get banned is going to be all the shotguns, obviously.
Yeah, Killer Pander in the chat just said any shotgun.
Yeah. Unless they fix the KE7, I think that will get banned as well. I don't know if you haven't played Battlefield 5 yet,
Not
so
yet.
You haven't experienced.
I'm hoping to get it next month.
You haven't experienced all the semi-auto snipers yet, which I reckon might get banned as well.
Yeah, actually, Killer Panda said pump action shotguns. He said no, any shotgun. I also said the EMP.
EMP?
Yeah.
That get banned? Not more?
No. I guess when I asked the question, he's putting out. Says the EMP, and then in the KE, I have no idea which one that is. Oh, KE7. Sorry, that 7 looked like a question mark. Yeah, KE7, is that what, a semi-auto?
It's a support weapon.
But
so that's the one you start with, basically, with the support class.
So
you get one framed by it.
So basically, they're pulling off a Halo with the starting pistol. Where for those who don't know the story, when Halo came out and you had all these great guns and stuff, one of the co-founders later on said he purposely slid all the things about the starting handgun you get to where it was overpowered. It was purposely done, and they didn't find it out. The EMP was referring to another question. Oh, okay, I'm sorry.
That would probably be the one about the guns that you thought were going to be hot garbage.
Hot garbage, okay. What is the EMP?
It's another medic rifle.
Another medic rifle?
SMG.
Okay. Alright, here's a question that I haven't asked. I think I only asked once, but what is your favorite and least favorite map so far?
I'd have to say the more I play Rotterdam, the more I dislike it. I don't know. I think I'm stuck with Amiens in my head, and that cityscape was just brilliant. I love that map. And Rotterdam just really doesn't do it for me. I hated Fell with a passion when I first started, and it's kind of one of my favourites now. So it's the one up on the snowy mountain one.
Okay.
Yeah, Rotterdam. Yeah, really. I know about that.
How about you, Pander?
Yeah, well, I'm more of a infantry player, so I'd probably say Devastation and Fiel. Fiel, you got so many flanking rounds. You can flank over top of mountains. You can do all of that stuff. So it's almost like another side of Operation Rockets, which that's the reason why I kind of like it. All the different flanking routes you can do. Get some good back ranges on that map, and yeah, Devastation is pretty much the same. It's mainly infantry, and yeah.
So
close quarters.
out of the whole Battlefield series, every game that you've played, if you were to compare Battlefield 5 to any of those, what would Battlefield 5 remind you out of all the games in the Battlefield series?
Probably Battlefield 3. I didn't play a lot of it. And I think probably a little bit of Battlefield 2, I suppose. I played a lot of that on PC. It was quite squad orientated. Yeah, and I didn't play a lot of Battlefield 4, so yes, I can't comment on those ones.
How about you, Pander?
Yeah, I think Battlefield 5 almost feels like it's a in-between of Battlefield 4 and 1 for me. I didn't get to play too much Battlefield 3, which was a shame. But I think, yeah, it's like just a even mix of Battlefield 1 and 4. And I think that's almost how Battlefield 1 should have released. Was how Battlefield 5 released, and yeah, I'm loving it how it is.
Alright. And Dragon has said, if my Bren or FG42 are banned, I'll go and play Destiny again. Oh, you'll come back into the fold, won't you, Dragon? Come back to the grind, my friend. Come back to the grind. So when it comes to Tier 1 gaming, why don't you tell us all about Tier 1?
Well, we were. I didn't really know too much about the gaming competitive scene stuff at Battlefield 1, but kind of got introduced to it, like we were talking earlier, with the Oceanic International team. I was sort of blown away by it. I thought, well, this is professional. It's got its league, it's got its commentators, it's live streamed. I sort of thought, oh wow, this is esports and we're in it. So I've been thoroughly impressed with any other tournament that we've been in or have seen friends playing, and yeah, I think it's a great thing. I think it's a great thing for gamers really that are wanting to take it up the next notch really.
Alright. Yeah, I was first introduced to Tier 1, I think it was called Tier 1 Gaming before it was called Esports, back in Battlefield 4. That was just as I joined DD, or Dishonorably Discharged, and they were really into Tier 1, and yeah, I wanted to be a part of the competitive side of Battlefield ever since I witnessed it, I guess. And yeah, I loved going back through and looking at the matches and seeing what I did wrong and what I should have done. So yeah, I think it's a really good thing.
And looks like Killer Panda here says when it came to which Battlefield game in the series that Battlefield 5 reminds me of, he says it's nothing like Battlefield 3. Battlefield 3 was the greatest game of all time, with a hashtag of remaster Battlefield 3. So when I hit on this all through our interviews because I'm going through withdrawal. I really need to commentate on a match. Any match. I don't care. Friendly, scrim, practice. I need to do it. But mostly I need that competitive bite. Because just watching two skilled platoons go at it and see who can be the best is just, it's really great to watch. Most people might not get it, but people who play Battlefield and like to watch it will get it. But when EA gets those private servers and finally gets off their duff and gives us a date, at least an idea of when they're going to be available, because they're probably going to be buggy as hell when they first come out, just like Battlefield 1 was buggy throughout its whole lifespan until everyone jumped ship to Battlefield 5. When they come out and they work, at least mostly work, and the competitive scene gets fired up and the wins and losses will count, will you be looking forward to that upcoming season when it starts?
Oh yeah, I think we're sort of chomping at the bit, as they say, to get that started up, because we've tried organising just a few scrims with platoons, or death gamers anyway, and there's not much interest at the moment, purely because there is no servers up, but I think the guys just all want to start practicing really and just start formulating some strategies, and I think, yeah, we're definitely keen to get that going.
How about you, Panda? You got that itch to scratch too?
Yeah, I was sitting there just waiting for them to release them servers. Yeah, I tried to get a few games going, but just doing it on the official servers, it's a bit of a pain in the ass. So a lot of the other platoons kind of just sitting back and waiting for the servers to come out themselves as well. Everyone's pretty keen, raring to go.
Looks like, again, going back to another question, but we have a gentleman by the name of Philip Watson said he didn't like Battlefield 3. It ran too slow on his PS3. He skipped Battlefield 4, but Battlefield 1 got him hooked.
Oh,
So.
that's Insane Muppet.
An insane Muppet!
He's one of our founding members.
Wait, Insane Muppet? Is that his tag?
Yeah, Insane Muppet, yeah.
Oh my god, that is... Mr. Watson, I doff my hat to you. That is an excellent tag. I love that. That is... I love creative tags. That's just great. That's like one time I don't know which game I was playing, but the guy's name tag was Irish Tater Tot. I thought that was great, but I digress. All right, well, guys, it looks like we're at the end of the interview here. Wait, Killer Panda said that's a controversial statement. Moppet, fight me. Oh God. Anyway, don't kill me, guys. Well, we're at the end of the interview, but before we go, is there anywhere that any people are looking to possibly join your platoon, or groupies that can, that are into the whole Battlefield scene can find you, like any Discords, Facebooks, Twitter pages, anything to drop?
Well, I suppose we've got a Facebook page which is Odin Valkyries Platoon. It's quite easily found. You can direct message us on there. Or if you're really looking at the swim scene, probably contacting DeathPanda72 or myself, Alfred, and we can definitely tee up some trials, see how you go, bit of an interview. Yeah, that's probably, that's either direct messaging us on Facebook or the PlayStation account.
Anything did you want to add to that, Pander?
Yeah, just message me on my off my PlayStation PSN, or I do have a YouTube channel which is the same thing, but either way,
I suppose just
What was that, Ulf?
I was just sort of saying, if you just sort of give us a bit of a brief update on kind of what style of play you have, what kind of roles you play, just so we can sort of fit you in there.
Alright. Okay, well, thank you guys for coming in and taking my questions, and
Yeah, thanks for having us.
and thank you for painfully watching my poor play on the footage I gave you to see how bad I am. I'm sorry. Unfortunately, I can't pay for your psychiatrist sessions on that one, but thank you, Annie, for gutting through it. So thank you.
If you go pro, just make sure you don't forget us. All right?
Oh no, I'm not. No way. I mean, I can't wait to be able to call matches, all with you guys in there. So, especially if Insane Moppet, I've already got things in my mind like to just like, that's great. This is great.
He plays Assault, so it suits him right down to the ground.
But thank you for coming in. So thank you viewers for watching. And I believe the I don't know when the next Platoon highlight is and who it'll be. Hopefully, Dragon King Seep will let me know, but we will let you know when we get that information. And you can always, if you enjoy watching the videos as we highlight platoons that will be coming for the upcoming season of Battlefield 5, be sure to subscribe to Tier 1 Esports and hit the notification bell and set it to always, so that way you will always get a notification of when we are streaming. Also, you can follow my crew at Space Canada TV. Same thing. We like to call it the New Age Gordie Howe hat trick. Hit subscribe, hit the notification bell, set it to always, and you could also follow me, Super Evil Top Tarts, on PSN Network. So until then, until next Platoon highlight, my name is Super Evil Pop Tarts for Ulfbreck, Death Pander, and executive producer Taku Fail Kitty. Have a nice night, and thank you for watching.
Cheers.
And ladies and gentlemen, that ends the stream we're having tonight. We'd like to thank you all for coming in. I'm going to zoom out here. Again, you can follow the ideas of Pop-Tart there and follow on Space Canada TV at youtube.com, and that'll allow you to find out that Alien Isolation will be happening on Sunday of this coming week. The next week we'll be having our beginning of the Resident Evil 2 extravaganza, where I will be playing through Claire Scenario B and possibly Leon Scenario, Claire Scenario A and Leon Scenario B, pardon me, let me get that in order. That is the original version of the story of the game. After that, we'll be doing Resident Evil 2 all day on January 25th, and that will be on Space Canada TV. We'll be having some guest appearances by people from Tier 1. We'd happy to have all of you come back in and enjoy making fun of me as I play through all of the new Resident Evil 2 on January 25th. Also, coming up on Tier 1, next Wednesday, we'll be having Vets, which is a series of veterans of the United States and I believe some of other militaries, but mainly the United States military. They will be playing for you next Wednesday, and we'll be hearing from their leaders on that same stream. So after that, we'll be having DEFE, which will be the next stream we'll have the week after that same week of the Resident Evil Extravaganza week. But those things you'll be able to see here on T1 Esports as Space Canada takes over as many Wednesdays as we possibly can for Tier 1 as we expose more platoons for you to see and for you to enjoy. If you happen to want to join the platoon highlights, you can be more than happy to go to tier1esports.com and you can apply there, or you can go to the Tier 1, ask to join the Tier 1 Esports Discord, and you can join and ask to have your platoon highlighted on the next platoon highlight. Again, thank you for watching, because in space no one can hear you apologize, but in Tier 1 we want to bring all of the Battlefield community together, so it doesn't matter who or how you play, it's matter is that you do play and that you're having fun. Thank you, and have a good night.